is up, my real estate friends? Joshua Smith here with today's Top Agent Interview, where I bring you strategies, systems, lead generation, tips, and more from top realtors and entrepreneurs that exist on the planet today. Today, we have an absolute rock star mega agent who's one of the top Keller Williams agents on the planet. This year, he's on track in 2014 to do over $72 million in production. And is one of the best geographical farmers I have ever seen in this business. He is not only a realtor, he owns multiple restaurants, has a real estate designation company, manages a large real estate rental portfolio, and much more. So make sure you remove all distractions. Turn off your cell phones, shut down your email, get engaged, listen. We talk about this all the time. Multitasking doesn't exist. You guys are going to get delivered gold here. This guy's going to deliver a ton of nuggets for you, ton of gold to get you out there and rocket your explode your career. So take a ton of notes. Get ready for this. Today, I'm just so stoked and honored to have this amazing realtor, an amazing friend of mine on the show today, Kenny Klaus.
Hey, buddy. Appreciate all you're doing and your drive to keep connecting everyone here, because ultimately we're cooperating agents, although we're in a competitive industry. So the more we share, the more we grow, of course, and I appreciate the opportunity to hopefully impact and improve a few lives out there, and help people go from having a real estate job to actually owning a real estate business. So let's do it. Let's have some fun and share.
Yep, hell yeah, brother. Awesome honor, man. Stoked. So yeah, let's dive in here a little bit. Let's talk about kind of what you did before you got in the real estate industry, and why did you get in the real estate industry?
Well, I was the FedEx guy for 13 years, so a lot of people can relate or remember seeing those guys out there, or still today, obviously. Just running around, running my route, getting to know people, meet people, and competitive. You had timelines and all of that, and sky just wasn't the limit for me in that opportunity. It was good, provided good benefits and steady income, but there was a ceiling of achievement there. And one of my managers actually had gotten a real estate license and showed me a commission check one time. And when you're used to getting weekly paychecks, and then you see a commission check off a sale of a house, not realizing all that goes into that commission check, of course, with benefit, all the stuff. I was like, wow. And he said, I think you could do this. You got the outgoing personality, enjoy people. And so I started going to school at nights, still working full time, of course, at FedEx. And that's kind of how it started. Just started doing it part time. Actually did it part time for about 4 years as I transitioned out of the FedEx role and transitioned, my wife out of working full time, and able to quit and stay home with the kids and just set a goal, a financial goal that I had to hit. No debt, had to have X amount in the bank account, and I about 2.5 times that before I finally stepped out of that role and went full time.
So how were you able to balance it? You were growing a successful real estate business while having that full-time job. Take us through kind of what your schedule was, and because I know a lot of people listening to this call, a lot of people out there that kind of are in that transition, and it can be tough to, what they can call it, time management, choice management, whatever, but to dial on that schedule and be able to balance both and grow that real estate business while you have that job. How did you manage your time, and how did you do it?
Well, honestly, you look back now and you probably do things a little bit different just from a balance standpoint. But, when you know what your big why is, and it's kind of to change the family trajectory, it was just I'll use the word relentless. It's my favorite word, and I was just was relentless. I just knew what I had to do. I was raised with good work ethic and accountability. My dad was very didn't let us slide with anything. I was working when I was 14, bagging groceries at Fry's, and so it wasn't easy. I'm not going to say it was easy, but when you want something bad enough, you find a way to be more efficient with your time. And so we still did family trips and still had time together, but I'd get up at 4:35 in the morning, go to FedEx, unload containers, go run a route, come back, and get home, and I'd work sometimes till late at night, just returning calls, following up on email. I did some of that from the road, and then I just transitioned, from going on the road to just unloading containers in the morning. So about the last year and a half, I'd work about 12 hours a week at FedEx, but I kept full benefits. But yeah, there was plenty of times where I was working, 60 hours, or of course during the holidays. I think I had a 72-hour week one week. So, but you knew what you were going for, and I liked the fact that every day when I woke up, I didn't know what there was no limit to what I could do, both personally, professionally. There was no limit on my growth and what the opportunities were. And then, of course, the financial opportunity. I mean, there's very few businesses like real estate where, every day could be a $10,000 day, a $20,000 day, and you get to always meet people. So it was just a consistent, relentless work ethic and drive to know that something bigger could be had. And I had no family history in the business or anything like that. My dad had a license years and years, like when I was a little kid. I think like every person in Arizona has had a real estate license at some point, it seems like. So.
Yeah, man. So okay, so and I know today you operate this mega team, but of course you didn't start there. So you transitioned from FedEx to you waited, you were fiscally responsible to the point where you had the income coming in there before you made that full time transition, and kind of walk us through that journey. How long was it before you started your team? What was your first hire? Maybe run us through some of the different models. I know the market shifted a lot. Kind of went through a traditional business to heavy REO short sale back to traditional. So kind of just walk us through that journey a little bit and the different team structures that you've operated through.
Excellent. Yeah, so I got licensed in 99. 2001, I moved into a new community called Augusta Ranch and decided to start what's known today as farming. I didn't really know what I was doing then so much. I just wanted to kind of be like the real estate FedEx guy for the community, if you will. Like everybody knew you. You knew all the businesses, all the houses. You kind of knew your route, if you will. And so I did a little newsletter in there in 2001, and by 2003 I was able to quit FedEx. So, but in the beginning it was me. I did bring on a partner early on. Unfortunately, that didn't work out, so I went back to just doing it on my own. And then about 2003, 2004, that's about 2003, I hired my first full-time key assistant. And ironically, she's still with me today. And then I hired my next hire right after that, which happened to be my brother, as kind of our runner and just do it all. He's still here today on our team also as our listing manager. So that's kind of how the team started. And then, for the next 10 years or so, you just trip all over yourself and hire out of need and not based on a system and make all kinds of mistakes. But the one thing that we've never quit doing is sending out our monthly newsletter, and that's only grown exponentially. So we started with 1,700 homes, one community. To date, it's probably, if I had to guess, 23, 24 communities and about 21,000 newsletters to each address. And so just kind of kept, leading with revenue and growing slowly. It wasn't, boy, I have some money, let's go spend it and hope it happens. It was just a consistent, authentic approach to serving people. And then over time, we built traction. Eventually we built a brand, and now I have what we consider a business in the neighborhood, just like you have a insurance agent and a restaurant and a gas station and a dentist. This community has a realtor that they know and visibly see in the community. So that was really it. And then it was just and there was no guarantees. Trust me, I got my first listing on my first newsletter, and I went 7 more months without another appointment. And I can tell you, when I set it up, my vision was I got to do this for 12 months. I got to set $12,000 away, which is probably all the savings I had, and just say I have to commit to this through the ups and downs. And month 7, and again, keep in mind back then I wasn't keeping track of things just because I didn't know where it would go. But I got 3 listing appointments, and I landed all 3. And since then, I can't remember ever taking less than 3 listings a month, and it just exponentially grew. And when I say that, by no means does that mean, oh, good, now we're good, we don't have to do certain things. It actually means you end up doing more, and just staying consistent and continuing to serve the community. And so been quite a journey. It's kind of interesting that I get to sit here and share with other people because truly I was just the FedEx guy that had some drive and said, I'm going to go do this. And I attribute a lot of it for me personally was in 2005 when I went to a Brian Buffini seminar that someone forced me to go to because I was just busy. I didn't have time. And I went. And I still attribute my life today and where I was to listening to him speak and about, even though we know there's no such thing as balance in life, but shooting for, some time blocking for your business, for your family, for your friends. And he really introduced me to personal growth. And I will tell you, as you know, just from, knowing you and watching you grow, personal growth is everything. Without that, the rest just doesn't matter because, your only competition today should be that you're better today than you were yesterday. And if you just keep doing that 365 days a year, every year, year after year, you're going to attract people. You're going to be a better leader, a better father, a better husband, a better partner. And I truly attribute a lot to that. I mean, I try to read a lot, try to, all 5 circles, if you will, that Buffini talked about, spiritual, financial, physical, personal growth, business growth. And it's been exciting, and it's just, it still feels like it's just beginning in a lot of ways.
Yep. No, hell yeah, man. So you started you started racking up inventory. You had your assistant, your courier. Then what was your next hire from there? What was it? Buyer agents, listing agents, and give us an idea of because they do 72 million in real estate in a year, which is more than a lot of agents might do in a whole entire 20-year career. Like what does the team structure look like in order to be able to do and perform and handle that kind of volume?
Well, for us, for me in the beginning, it was you got to the point where you were generating listings, which then meant that you had buyer sign calls, and then it got to a point where you have to train people to handle that and create opportunities for others to do that because you just can't do it all. And so I would say buyer agents. I know in '05 we did about 60, I think 65 or 68 million. It was my first big year, and I know we had 3 buyers agents at the time, all making good money, and then the 3 of us, kind of the core, which Stephanie was closing all the deals, Craig was helping take all the pictures, get all the signs up, and I was doing 100% of the listing appointments. So I would say those things would be the growth there, and then as we really started to grow, then I ended up getting a second transaction manager. Today we have 7 full-time buyer agents, me and Corey as listing agents, a full-time runner, my operations manager, our ISA. So it's grown, quite a bit since then based on, the amount of leads coming in and the opportunities that we can provide, to help others, really have, the benefit of team out there, because there's always that decision is, we provide, consistent revenue with no ceiling for opportunity. Because, I look back in my life and the reason I left FedEx was there was no opportunity, in my opinion, or not a path that I wanted. And with our team, we've tried to create, that idea where there's no ceiling. They can go from, ISA if they want to buyer agent to eventually a farm agent on our team, and then have multiple farms if they want. So it's very scalable, but there's no, there's no ceiling, and we provide all of the foundation stuff, the stuff that most of us aren't good at. For those who, use and know their disc profile, you're going to be better at something than something else. You're either going to be better with people, or you're going to be better at, paperwork, or you're going to be better at systems. It's just no one is good at all and then can balance all. So it's really success through others.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So you mentioned farming agents. What does that role look like?
Well, it's geographic, and I look at it, Joshua, is kind of the kind of the FedEx idea. When packages came down the conveyor belt, it wasn't like I took one and the next guy took one and the next guy took one and the next guy took one, and then and all of a sudden, we each had 30, 40 stops, but we were crossing each other's paths and we were all over the place. The idea was, we each had our own areas, and so kind of cutting up the valley geographically and saying, all right, we want you to be the neighborhood expert in this area, and while you're becoming the neighborhood expert, take all the buyer leads you want so that you have, an income while we're building a farm, because, farms are not overnight. Just like any small business, it takes time to, to learn, to build the brand, to, to get the business. And we believe that we have a lot of those things already built. Now we just need the farm agent who can come in and run that. So kind of our model is, you come on as buyer agent, learn our systems, we get to know you, make sure that, we feel like you're a good fit and that we're a good fit for you, that you can achieve your goals. And then if so, then we look at the opportunity to award, a farm route to you. And then we have a different model for that, because you really become, almost a licensing agreement to own that geographic area, and we support it. So it's kind of that idea where there's no limit to it. And if you get successful at that, then you find someone to replace you, you get a percentage, and then you go open the next farm. So we see it very scalable. But really, honestly, the best part about it is I really feel like you're truly serving the community for the community's best interest, because you have a vested interest in the success of it, and it. The schools, think about it with a real estate license in 90 hours today, and what we're actually responsible for legally, to know all the different things out there, from flight patterns to, mold to fissures to super funds, flood zones, and yet you're supposed to be writing a contract, showing a house, getting them qualified. There's so many pieces to it that, we just feel like if you know the area, you're going to best serve those people. And ultimately, that's our goal, right? We got in business to serve people and help them with the American dream.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And we've talked a lot about this, you and I, with your farming, and I've got to say, I meet a lot of agents that farm all over the country, and you've got to be the most successful geographical real estate agent or farming agent, whatever they want to coin the phrase, that I've ever met in this business. And one cool thing about talking with you is a lot of agents think that farming is just cutting that check and throwing that monthly newsletter out, at that monthly postcard out, and it's really not. That's part of it, but from my thoughts, and maybe I'm wrong here, but it seems like you're just 75% of it's just prospecting and getting to know that community and being involved in that community. And I know you're so involved in your communities. So why don't you walk us through a little bit of how you got started? I know you got started with that monthly newsletter, but I know you're really involved with sponsoring all the sports programs, and you guys hold a lot of different events. So kind of just walk through, what you got 21,000 homes. What are you guys doing? What are you sending? How frequently? What are some of the activities that you're doing to really build those relationships and be known in those areas?
So we, like you said, the newsletter it's for us in the big farm, it's two pieces of paper basically folded in half, which creates 8 pages, full color, and those have been going out consistently since 2001, and those get delivered by the post office. So that's the big piece. And then, of course, if you just sold one or just listed one, we will send those out on top of those, not to every house, but just, within an area in there. So, again, they're kind of getting it double. We've got 3 wrapped vehicles. We have our moving truck and 2 other wrapped vehicles, because kind of the idea of the FedEx trucks, you just keep seeing our brand all over. We have the little ad dividers at Safeway. I do a neighborhood network meeting once a month. And so what that allows us to do, and I talk about this a lot in our CLME program, but my farm agent goes and visits the businesses, and instead of walking into a business talking about real estate, of course, they want an item of value, something to go talk to them about. And so you can invite them to the neighborhood network meeting. We offer to shoot a quick business video, then we can put it on the community website. And we market primarily, like you mentioned, geographically, but then we really hyper-local that based on the zip code. And so I've got, over 100 and some zip codes in the valley, like 85209.com, for example, is kind of the core one. And so we have the Facebook page and the community page. So when we send out the newsletter, of course, we're driving people to that community page. We're not 100% real estate related in the newsletter. It's more community focused of stuff that's happening in the area. So when the farm agent's out running his route, he's visiting not only the houses in the area to get to know all the inventory, but he's also visiting, or she is out visiting the businesses, find out what they've got going on, if they've got any workshops coming up or events that they're aware of that we can put in the newsletter, and then of course inviting them to the network meeting. So instead of just walking in, like a lot of people do to try to sell them something or do something, we're walking in with an item of value, and that is, hey, do you want to come to our free neighborhood network meeting? We do it the third Tuesday of every month at 7:30 in the morning. And then once you start to build that rapport, which doesn't happen the first time, by the way, and that's why most people quit, it's that third, fourth, fifth, sixth time where they start to trust you because you keep coming back. And, a lot of people view consistency as boring, where we view it as it builds trust. And when you build trust, a lot of other doors open up. And so, the neighborhood network meeting has been real powerful. Whether people go or not, again, it's just something to get out to the community that sees you're interacting. And then we'll put our little newsletter stands inside their businesses, which then gives us a reason to go run the route every month and go back and fill them, to create dialogue. And so those are ways, because once you're out in the community, it forces you to be out in there. You find out a lot of the events that are going on, or things that, that the businesses tell you. And let's face it, those businesses, if you can get those owners to be raving fans of you, ultimately, who do they have coming in there? People, homeowners in the area. And so if all of a sudden you can cross-reference with each other, and then all of a sudden, like our haircut lady, she puts her name to us all the time. Oh, you guys are moving. Oh, you got to. And it's just interesting, how those relationships, because you become real people to them that care about the community. So it's actually a lot of fun. Now I do water bottles. We've done child at play signs. So we donate water bottles to the high school and the elementary schools. We'll set up at their carnivals. Actually, just today, there was 10 families that a social worker let us know at one of the elementary schools, wasn't going to have a Christmas. And so our team stepped up along with my 2 restaurants, and we took care of 10 families with new bikes and beach cruisers and, you name it, all kinds of stuff. And it was actually a lot of fun. But it was all hyper-local. It was stuff going on in our own backyard. So there's a lot of neat things that you can do, and not in a shotgun approach, but really of almost a sniper rifle. You're just focused on an area, do those activities, but then they build. It's not, they don't blow away in the dust. You're building a foundation that just can't be shaken real easily, like a lot of people's businesses.
Yeah, so let's talk about that newsletter for a minute. So you're bringing that newsletter to other businesses. Now, do you allow or place ads for those businesses in your newsletter for the community?
We've done both, and I do get that question. I think it's a good idea if you have time for that to help offset the cost of the newsletter. To us, it was a lot of work. People would call, you'd have to design it, then they'd complain that the ad was $300. But when you're sending out 21,000, I mean, that's a cheap ad compared to what it costs. And so we've actually just kind of phased out of that piece, but I have over the years, and I'd get as much as maybe 6 paid ads in there. The problem is it starts taking up a lot of real estate in your newsletter that you really want it to be community stories, community events, stuff about real estate. So we found it taking up space that I didn't want it to be an ad brochure and not be authentic for the person on the other end that was reading it. But I think it's an idea. It definitely can help offset some costs. At a minimum, you should be able to get your lender in there because that's a value to the community if they're branded as the local loan officer expert or local mortgage expert.
Yeah, and at one point, I think you were telling me you do things like free ice cream coupons for the kids.
Yeah, we have. It's interesting too, and we do a little move-in bucket when people move into the community, and there's something my wife makes. It's I actually have the whole contents actually on CLME, also just kind of a recipe card. We have hammers, nails, toilet paper, paper towels. But one of the fun things too is when you go to these businesses, you let them know that, hey, we're putting together these buckets for people moving into the area. So we'll get our locksmith to put a coupon. The golf course puts a free round of golf. My restaurant, we throw a gift card in. Window cleaner, house cleaner, all services, insurance agents, financial planners, whoever. And we don't charge them. We just let them, put their stuff as long as it's an item of value. And then, outside of that, like I'm donating a TV this Friday night. We have a big event at our golf course called On Course for the holidays. So they have a big movie on the driving range, and all the houses decorate the back of their fences. And then we do some prizes that they can raffle off and buy. And, so it's it'll be like a 42-inch TV donated by the Kenny Klaus team. You got a couple thousand residents there. Again, they just go, oh, these guys are, they're everywhere. They're giving back. And so, but again, your marketing dollars you're seeing a better return than if you're just writing checks to sponsor every little league in town or, everything out there. You want it to build. You want, when I go out, I'll see kids with T-shirts on from basketball camps that have our logo on the back from 3-4 years ago. So again, I do encourage having a budget for all that kind of stuff, but you'll be amazed at when you get another business partner, and especially once you've built a brand, to get them to throw some stuff in that you're doing an event and you want to invite them to, or like you said, ice cream or whatever it is. You can just keep it really simple, and a lot of this stuff doesn't have to cost you a lot. You just have to make people aware, that you're doing these things. And then, we call it, 85209.com, your community connection, because really you kind of become the mayor of that zip code. Your job is to, go connect people within the community, and for the most part, over time, it's very well received.
So, and I know you've been building this farm for a long time. I know farming does take a long time. You keep talking about consistency and being consistent. If I'm a new agent and I'm wanting to start into a farm, what should they expect? Yeah, I know you talked about, okay, I know I got to set aside 12 months worth of income. Not really expect a return on that because it takes time to build it up. How long do you think that it typically takes? What would you tell a brand new agent looking to start farming tomorrow, just to kind of plan for? What kind of market share size should they start? Should they start with 1,000 homes and expect it to be 18 months before they get a return? How would you advise somebody brand new to start?
Joshua, it's interesting because if I was telling you, I would expect it 1 to 3 months you'd be doing listings, because I know what you would do is you'd go out and you'd door knock and you'd sit open houses in the area, and you just go own that area very quickly. Some people just send a newsletter and wait for the calls to come in. And to be honest, over a period of time, that probably can happen as long as you're adding value and you're adding some content that's authentic and not just stuff they could get in the Arizona Republic or the East Valley Tribune. So it just, again, it's not like an attorney, but it depends on who it is. I think if you're doing good quality newsletter, full color, consistent, community based, with real estate in there, and you just become kind of known as the area expert. Our last farm, we got our first listing in 3 months. The very first farm I opened after my main one, it took us 7 months to get the first one. Even though we had some activity, we had a lot of free CMA requests. It's all planting seeds. And so, when you talk about calling expireds or FSBOs or door knocking, just pick an area and really focus on that area, because now they see your newsletter, then you're calling on an expired. They already know your brand. I'm a high I in my DISC profile, so relationships are really important. Getting your feelings hurt are a big part of being a high I. And so, doing some of those other activities just never was in my wheelhouse. But, having them call me to go do a listing appointment, that was, and that's how it happens today. We've never done outgoing prospecting, although we just started in the last 3 or 4 months starting to do that. It was just something I never did, and yet I think it's a great tool to help jumpstart, a farm. So, whether it's kind of circle prospecting or whether you're just straight calling through the farm, making sure they got your newsletter, if they had any questions about the area, all that stuff. It all depends on activity. I always say, actions equal opportunities. You just have to take action, and most people aren't on the offense. They're on the defense too much, and you got to get out. It's a contact sport. You got to get out and contact people. So, I usually tell people when you talk about the size of the farm, obviously, Joshua, there's all kinds of factors into farming. is there, what's the turnover rate look like? I mean, is there a 3% or a 7% turnover rate, meaning how many homes are sold, based on how many are available in that area? What's the average price point? I mean, pick a farm, that you're close to, that you're aware of, but where you want to have a business for the rest of your life, because that's ultimately the goal. So does the sales price, is it a sales price that you're comfortable with? Is it, 50,000 or 200,000, or is it 300, 400? What do you want to do? And then absolutely the budget, because what you can't do is you can't go 3-4 months and quit. There's a book out there, 3 Feet from Gold. It's the idea is, if you believe in what you're doing, you have a good product, and you're truly serving people, just be consistent. And I truly believe the returns will come as long as, you're a good agent, you're a professional, you show up, I'll say uniformed. I mean, at least with a name badge on or an embroidered shirt. Know your business, know your market. And it's a lot easier to read a Cromford report or study data when you're just looking at a geographic area than having to know the whole Southeast Valley or Maricopa County or Pinal. It's a lot easier to be the expert. But it just starts small, lead with revenue, and just have expectations that, hey, like any small business, it may take 2 years, but if I want to be in the business 2 years from now, why not own a business versus just start every January going, now what? What do I do? Here it is. Here's January. My business starts at 0 versus having, 30 closings in January. And so, and again, I appreciate what you said earlier too. I think it's key for people to understand, you don't have to be great to start. You just have to start to be great. And I think, too many people, it's a microwave world. They don't want to put in the work ethic, or they look at the wrong market. I mean, the wrong agent sometimes too. I mean, over the last 6-7 years, I mean, look at our top, 10, 20, 50 list in the Valley. It is varied. I mean, there's been people out of nowhere, and then, the market shifts and they're gone. And, we've seen that with REO, short sale, the investor market, and it's very interesting. It's very hard, to stay on top through those markets. But if you build the right bottom, so you have a strong foundation where, farming isn't our only leg, but it's our foundation, and it's created, buyers, sellers, investors, short sales, all those things that can help. And then we picked up a HUD account at the end of 2010, and it jumped our volume considerably for 2 years. But then it went away, and there isn't any for the last 8-9 months, and yet we're going to have our biggest year ever. So you look for opportunities, but you don't forget the fundamentals and the basis, and you just keep paying a little bit of attention to your farm every week, and then all of a sudden, you'll start getting that momentum, and now you take some money off the table. It doesn't mean you go lease a new Mercedes. It means you keep reinvesting. You get a moving truck. You get a wrapped vehicle. You start giving back to the community, and all of a sudden, now you have a surplus of money. Now you can start doing the things you like to do.
Yep, absolutely, dude. So when you're running a team of your size, you've got to have some amazing systems into place. And as we're running teams, it's like you get to a point where you can no longer manage people. You got to manage the systems that manage and empower the people. And walk us through what kind of systems you guys have in place. How are you able to manage and train your people, keep your people accountable, make sure that they're following up with leads. Kind of walk us through some of your systems and how you guys operate with that.
Well, so, I mean, obviously, as you know, I mean, systems are everything, and I failed at that for a long time. The new product would come on the market, so you'd sign up for that, and then you'd find out a year later you're still paying for it because you didn't check your credit card statement or whatever. There are no shiny pennies. I mean, we chase them, but I think that, for us, we manage our buyer leads in one account. We have an ISA that filters all the leads, works them through to an appointment, and then gives them to the buyer agent so that they're not having to chase 50 leads, 100 leads a month or in a week or whatever it is, and not feeling like a true professional. So we have someone who handles that piece, and then we have we actually use Top Producer currently for the database and transaction management. So a couple of systems. I think we've all looked at them all out there. I don't know if there's one that's 100% turnkey, from IDX all the way to, CRM. But I think that having those systems and then visiting, regularly with goals, and we use what's called our 411, which is kind of a KW thing, but, we set our annual goal, then our monthly goal, then our 4-week goal, and then my operations manager meets with each person bi-weekly to review those goals. That way you never get too far off track of the goals that you have set. So each agent individually sets, their goals. So we base it on, I'd like to make, 175 this year. Okay. Well, it's a mathematical equation. You put that in, you break it out if they're just doing buyer sides, average sales price, fallout rate. Okay, here's how many appointments you need. Here's how many closings you need. Now we break that down to, what the annual number is, then the monthly, and then the weekly goal. And they're very clear what they need to hit. But by revisiting it all the time, that's the key. And, I'm blessed where I get to meet with Gary Keller several times a year, and he swears Keller Williams was built on 411s and the 135, which we call our GPS, which is our business plan worksheet. And so, you just have, we call it our 135. So you have your one big annual goal, you have your 3 priorities, and then your 5 strategies. And that's as simple as a business plan as we write. And then you just revisit it frequently to make sure you're on track. And sometimes the strategies will change, and agents will know where they're at throughout the year. I mean, are they on track to hit their goals? And by the 15th of each month, if they're not, well, then we need to turn up the heat. We need to do another open house or 2. We need to do a little door knocking. We need to make some more phone calls, because those are your goals. We're just here to create the environment to help you achieve them, not to babysit, not to parent, but really in a coaching environment to help them. Because my job, we're a bottom up approach. We're down at the bottom. We're not at the top looking down on our team. It's how do we get you guys to hit the goals you want, both professionally and personally. And if we can help them achieve that, in turn we'll hit our goals. And you hear it out there. Zig Ziglar said, to get what you want in life, help enough other people get what they want. And until you really slow down and say it enough times and think about it, you go, you know what? That's about the best business plan out there. Because if you can help other people achieve their goals, in turn, with the systems we have in place, we'll reach our goals. And it becomes a lot more fun way to do it, because your passion is, how do we serve those people, not how do we make money off those people? How do we help them make a lot of money? Because if my goal is how much I can make off them, they're not going to be with me for very long. But if we can truly create a culture within our team and our environment to help them reach their goals, then all of a sudden you've got a system and a team that's just humming along, and everybody's hitting their goals and winning, and the culture is sharing, and together we achieve more. So it makes it a lot more fun too. You're not it's fun when you get to be on purpose about helping other people. And the beauty of being on a team or having a team is you can control who those people are. And at the end of the day, if they're not hitting their goals, it's, you don't have to, they get it, and they'll either step up or step out.
Yeah, man. Yep, absolutely, dude. I love that, dude. Let's talk for a second about. I know you mentioned a couple times with your ISA, inside sales agent, following up with your leads there. Because one thing that I see, and we're talking with a lot of agents, it seems like leads are never really the issue. It's people's inability to follow up with the leads and convert those leads to appointments that seems to be in the issue. And you brought in the ISA to help with that. What is your follow-up strategy? You talk a ton about consistency, so I'm sure, and you talk a lot about being relentless. So I know you're probably attacking these like crazy. But what is your strategy? A lead comes in. What is your follow-up strategy with that from new lead? And then after that, let's kind of talk about, you've got a past client now. A lot of people drop the ball there. What's your follow-up plan with the new lead? And then also once they become a past client to ensure that you're getting that repeat referral business from them.
Well, and I think, that's the thing that our industry, has to shift to. And, I know when Gary wrote MREA, the industry was where it was, and that wasn't that long ago. And now MREA 2 is getting ready to come out here pretty soon. And I think it's interesting because now, the ISA will be part of that model, because, with the internet, I mean, let's face it, if you don't respond within, less than, people say 3 minutes, here 5 minutes, I think it's literally 3 minutes or less. Um, they're not just logging onto your site or clicking on your property. And so as an agent, if you're out showing houses, you're at a real disadvantage compared to, I have someone full time that her job is to convert as many leads as she possibly can, and she never has to go show a property. As an agent, what happens a lot of times, you convert leads and you're like, okay, I got two to go work with, and now you stop the cycle. And so that's why you see that up and down in our industry. They'll close 2 1 month, and they're 2 months with nothing, and then 2 more, and then nothing, and then 1, and then 3. But it's because they let their foot off the gas to go service the client. For us, there's just a constant flow of leads, and Monday through Friday, she's on the phone, not only converting as soon as they log in or register or call on a sign or any way a lead, comes into us. That's her full-time thing. And then on the after hours and weekends, then we go, we roll into a Google Voice number where one of 6 agents gets the leads or the phone call. And then at that point, it's their job to work that lead. And if the lead is out, well, then on Monday, they reassign it back to our ISA, and then she follows up on it until they're ready. And then it does go back to that same agent because you can, lock it into that agent. But we just know historically, as a real estate professional, you didn't get into the industry to be a telemarketer or to be, someone who's following up on leads all day. You want to be out with people showing houses. And it took me a while to kind of grasp that we were burning through buyer's agents because they didn't feel like a professional. We're like, follow up on that lead. Why do you get back to them? It's been 15 minutes. And not realizing that, that's just not in their wheelhouse. It's not what they're strong or like to do. But when you find someone who comes in every day and that's what they enjoy doing, is, as crazy as that may sound, there are people out there that love that would love to never go show a house or deal with people on the next level. So that piece has been huge for us. We broke our record last year for most buyer sides closed. This year, we crushed that record in the end of September, October. So we'll have a new closed record for buyers this year. And so since, she's been with us, we've only seen that buyer side number go up. We've had 0 turnover this year on the agent side, which is probably the first time in my history we've not had, 2 to 3 to 4, come in and go out. They're actually, here. We do profit sharing within our team. So there's some positive things that we're doing to ensure longevity because it's a win for everybody. But the ISA position to me is it's a must because you up the quality of life for your agent, and they really enjoy it because they get all the Donald Ducks and Mickey Mouse and all the crazy stuff that's out there. All that gets filtered out for them, and they just go get to do appointments. Hey, can you show this buyer tomorrow at 2:30? Here's their pre-qual letter. How many agents are going to turn that down? That's why we're in the business. So I think that's critical. And we've tried a virtual assistant too, and that just didn't work for us in our model very well. We have a more relational ISA, so they're not burning through the phone, which you could do that model too, but we've looked at quality versus quantity and found it a better fit for what we're doing. Although we know there's a lot of room for improvement. There's a lot more transactions to be had out there. And then on the flip side, obviously, is, now you close the deal, like you said, and how do you keep in touch with them? And, I'm going to be honest, I've failed through that for years. I mean, we should be probably doing double the business we are now, or at least, 50% more just on, having closed well over 3,000 homes. But you get busy in the now, and it's very difficult. And I found it interesting that we'll hire, all these other positions, and yet we really don't have, the industry really doesn't hire a database manager. And so we've kind of went to that here in the last few months to just have someone that's their number one, their one thing, if you will, on our team is database accuracy, systems, follow-up. And so, we do 4 touches a year. Personal touches to them, 2 phone calls, 2 handwritten notes, monthly item of value, some off-holiday emails that we send to them, and then a couple of events that we'll do this year. We just did one client appreciation party. So just taking them out of circulation, just adding value so somebody else doesn't. One of the slides that I share in CLME is NAR says that 83% of buyers say that they'd use their agent again. 83% of sellers, ironically, same number, say that they would use their agent again. The truth of it is 11% of people who bought with an agent use that agent again, and I think it's 23 or 28% of sellers do. So it's really a sad number for our industry, but it also is why I'm such an advocate of farming, because everyone who buys or sells a home in my farm, whether I was involved in or not, odds are I've got a very strong chance of having an appointment with those people, because I'm going to be keeping in touch with your client at least 12 times a year just based on my newsletter. So I think that the agent database thing is extremely important. I find it interesting how much money and time we'll spend, calling people we don't know instead of spending that same time and energy on calling people we do know, and just making sure if they need anything. Do they need any home service referrals? If they had their mortgage looked at lately to see what their rate is. There's a lot of things to call. I mean, this time of year, obviously holidays. But we get so caught up in trying to get new business and forget that every person in our database statistically knows 278 people. If we just mention to them, make sure they know we're the expert and that we're never too busy, as Buffini would say, and as Michael Mayer would say, create referral conversations. It's really not that difficult, but we get caught up in the now instead of time blocking. Hey, we're going to prospect from 9 to 11. In my case, I got to call past clients from 9 to 10, just call 10, 15 past clients, just even if I leave a voicemail, just touching base. And I'm telling you, it's been a lot more fun to do business that way than, trying to get new internet leads and new, they may not show up to the house. They may be talking to 3 agents. It's just all those things that are out there.
Yeah, and that 11% stat you threw out there. It's 83% said they would use their agent again, only 11% ever do. And it's not because over time in their head their agent did a crappier job. It's because they forgot their damn name. It's like who's that realtor that they did a great job, but I can't remember their name, and then they all of a sudden get your mailer, and then boom, it's
well,
it's
whose
crazy.
job is it to keep in touch of? We're the professional, and I think that it's interesting, and you're right. I mean, that's the thing is 83% said they would, 11% actually did. So it's not that they had a bad experience or wouldn't use them. They just didn't know how to get a hold of them, and then someone popped up in their mailbox. Hello, farming agent. Someone, referred someone to them. Hey, referral. Or they were on the internet and picked someone off the internet and went and saw a house, and next thing you know, there's their agent. So, you just got to defend your turf and defend your, and as Joe Nigo, who's with Brian Buffini, says, you got to take them out of circulation. You got to add enough value that when they get another realtor's card in the mail, they just chuck it. If someone, is talking about, they're thinking about buying, that they become, an advocate to your business, a raving fan. It's a lot harder to do, and I'll be the first to raise my hand. It's not, you get caught up in the day-to-day, the transactional stuff, but you've got a time block, even if it's once a week for 2 hours a day. Heck, if you've never done it, do it once a week for 15 minutes and call a couple people and realize, it's okay. And by the way, if they don't like you, they hang up on you, they tell you to pound sand, great, take them out of the database and move on. I mean, that's life. You're not going to win every one of them. I mean, I've certainly found that out when you mail Christmas cards and a couple come back because they've moved. It's pretty humbling, but that used to be how I sorted my database.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So and at the end of the day, and I know I say this a lot, and you're just 100% living proof of this. We're not real estate agents. We're entrepreneurs. Real estate just happens to be the product that we sell, and again, you're living, walking, talk. I mean, you're proof of this. You've got a very, very successful, one of the top real estate teams that exists on the planet. You own multiple restaurants. You own a ton of rental property. I know success doesn't happen by accident. So, what are some of the common denominators, that you find within all these businesses that you do that make you so successful?
I be honest, man, I think it's just getting up every day and just starting with a routine. I find it interesting. One of the agents on my team, he's here. He's one of the few people that's typically here before me, but he was a teacher for the last 10 years and came on board last year part-time and just had a phenomenal year. And then this year went full-time. We did our team retreat last weekend. We went up to my cabin, our team, and just kind of did our 2015 planning, our planning for next year. And interesting talking to him. He's just like, it's just what I do. You just get up and go to work every day. And I said, isn't that interesting? I did it for, all those years with FedEx, and then you own your own business and you think, oh, I can, kind of stroll in later or whatever. So I just think, I get up every morning. I can just tell you, quickly, I get up 5:30, which I know is late for you. I see your stuff, so I get it. But I'm also got a few years on you. But so I get up. I read John Maxwell's 365 Days of Leadership, get a little good stuff in, head over to the gym, do my little routine at the gym, come home, shower, get dressed, in my uniform, and head to the office. 9 to 11 is, prospecting. So it's quiet around our office. Everybody's focused on that, from our support team to our sales team, and then you start hitting the appointments, catching up, and doing our thing. Looking at what trainings we have this week, what we're reading. We were sales meeting, but it's just a consistent get up, get dressed. My whole closet is embroidered shirts with our logo on it. Put on the slacks, and I went to Catholic grade school, high school, worked for FedEx for 13 years. So it wasn't until I got out of that I had to learn how to match and dress myself because everything was uniform. And so it's just kind of what I know. And you show up to the door, and people, I think they respect it. You look like a business, and and so at the end of the day, you get home. Sometimes we head up to one of our restaurants and have a little dinner with friends and family. And like the other night, we did dinner and Christmas lights with the family. It's just you're always looking to just include others and community. But at the end of the day, it's relentless. It's focused on what our goals are for the day, for the week, for the month, for the year, knowing that there's going to be days that you're just not feeling it, and that's okay. You have to win enough days to win enough months. To win enough months, you win the year, and so it's just I know I keep saying the word consistent, man, but I can't help but say consistent because it's really the key. You have to find what works for you, and just be relentless with it. Because I even look at the medical profession, and a general doctor makes good money, but the guy who works on just your hand, makes probably 5-10 times what the general doctor makes. Because why? Because he's the expert. And I always look at that and go, I just need to drill down and become the expert at something. And through that, usually there's bigger rewards, less competition. And if somebody's already the expert in that, find something else to be the expert in. Most people don't remember the second person who who flew the plane or crossed the Atlantic, or they remember the first. So you want to be first in category if you can, or first in brand recognition in that area. So I hope that helps a little bit. I mean, the days in this industry, man, you can go in the office at 8 o'clock and then leave at 6 o'clock and worked all day and accomplish nothing. And that's part of the problem with today's world with Facebook and alerts, and we're so easy to get a hold of. That you have to be able to kind of bunker, make a bunker and be able to get away and do your thing. And if you do, you'll be the anomaly. I mean, you'll be the minority, but you'll also have the biggest GCI at the end of the year. I can almost bet that for anybody who would, go against the herd and just do their thing and then look up in 6 months, 12 months and look back at what you've accomplished. It'll be a lot more fun. There'll be a lot more to look at of what you've accomplished.
Yeah, I do these interviews, do a ton of these interviews with top agents over the planet like yourself, and just being in the industry and speaking at conferences and just being blessed to be around with so many amazing, successful people. Yeah, I tell you, the one thing they all have in common is just straight up hustle muscle. It's like if you
Yep.
don't have it, if you're not willing to grind, then there's no secret sauce. It's just he who works the hardest. And yeah, I mean, we got to pay attention and reflect and grow. But it's if you don't have the hustle, man, it doesn't matter how talented you are. You got to have that hustle. So you and I have spoken on some conferences together and met up multiple times. And every time that I meet with you, there's two things that you seem to always talk about. One is consistency. The other is 212. And I know that's something that you operate on your team and in your restaurants and the other businesses that you operate. What is 212, and how do you adopt that philosophy in your businesses?
I got introduced to it in '05. And it's been always a point where I can go back to, or motivate myself or my team. And like you said, our team, whether it's the real estate team or a restaurant team, so the concept is at 211 degrees, water is hot. At 212 degrees, it boils. Boiling water creates steam, and steam can move a locomotive. It's that one extra degree, and I look at it as that one extra degree in everything you do in life, in business, in relationships. My license plate on my personal vehicle is Live 212. I think it's just always looking, how can I turn up the heat? How can I take that one extra degree? What's that? Okay, everybody does this. What could I do a little bit more? And the compounding effect from it is just absolutely astonishing. And in the back of our restaurant, we have a big banner that says, 212 and all we do. And it's from the way they prepare the food to the way they deliver it to the way they deliver service on the floor. It's always providing that extra little degree. It just becomes a lot of fun. And so our team, you'll see everyone finish an email and 212 team, whatever it is. It's kind of just that community point for us. We all know what each other's talking about when we say, you just rock that 212 style or whatever. They did that extra little degree that separates us from everybody else, and so it becomes a lot of fun. It's I actually have a tattoo of it. That's how committed I am.
Yeah, I love it,
So
man. Well, and I know that, and it's one day we were at one of your restaurants, the Hub, and just having lunch and brainstorming on some stuff, and you were talking to me about how you train your wait staff on 2112, and it's like, okay, if you adopt this philosophy and you get an extra dollar tip each table, and it compounds into, I don't know, 10 grand extra in income a year, and it really ultimately impacts their whole entire life, not just your
isn't it
customers,
true?
but theirs.
And it's true, and that's what I try to tell them. I said, you guys are kind of like independent contractors on the floor. You create a great experience for people. Even if we mess something up, find a way to make it better. We're not perfect. Nobody is, but it's about admitting that or saying, what can we do to make it better? But that little extra degree, I tell them, that takes them from rounding your tip up or, adding more, whatever they do. And all of a sudden, and I'm telling you, our team there is phenomenal. We just found out last weekend. We are one little restaurant on one of the worst corners in town in East Mesa. It's failed 3 times previous. We just got voted 2013 Best Sports Bar by Fox Radio. We just found out Phoenix Magazine was in our store last Sunday taking pictures, and I guess we won Best Sports Bar. We didn't even know we were nominated for it. We've went through a full expansion. I don't think you've even been there since we expanded. We took the suite next to us. But we keep humble. You keep your foot on the gas. You don't take it for granted. You keep finding ways to continue to serve people. And it just proves you can take a failed place 3 times poorly. I mean, just bombed, failed, like terrible. And now it's like the hub. It's literally the hub of the community. That's why I named it the Hub. It's literally the hub. I mean, we have all the teams there. We do real estate teaching in the back private room. It's just become fun, but it goes back to 212. It's just that extra little degree. Make them feel, give them an experience that they're going to, want to come back and tell their friends, kind of the Disney model. And it's just become a lot of fun because you really realize the value in relationships and the value in people. Because at the end of the day, no matter how much social stuff is out there, how much electronic is out there, people do business with people they like and trust. And I'm telling you, we have built a business there that is so foundational on our relationships and our people that they are willing to drive to that corner, which again isn't the most ideal corner, getting in and out, even just demographically, and it's just blown up. And then to win some awards, it's just really a humbling experience, which fortunately led us to open our second one locally. Different name, different concept, but same thing. And we're 5 weeks into that one, so hopefully, with the same focus of people first and service, we'll accomplish the same thing. But it all goes back to 212. It's just that little extra degree in life that will separate you, from average to greatness.
Yeah, no, I was actually there just a few weeks ago on a Sunday at noon, and I mean it was absolutely packed, and service is brilliant, food's amazing. You guys were doing that day, some raffle prizes. You were getting everybody
Oh yeah,
involved, and it just
yep.
you can't even find a parking spot. I mean, it's just, on a Sunday at noon. I mean, it's no, you guys definitely know what you're doing. It's brilliant, man. One thing I wanted to ask you is, you've got all this going on. You've got all these different businesses. But at the same time, man, you're an amazing father, amazing husband. You spend a lot of great time with your family. You guys get away. I know you've got some places down in Mexico that you get down to, and with everything you got going on, man, I know this is one thing I struggle with all the time is balance. It just like seems like it just doesn't exist, and it just, not saying that exists in your world, but you seem to do a pretty damn amazing job at it. So, it's how do you do it? What do you do? How do you do it? Because it is
You
in
know,
this business, especially, we let our clients just take over our lives, and so many people struggle with this.
and that's why you work on building a business, because once you have surplus, you have confidence. They're calling you, and they'll wait, and you don't have to let them run your lives. I mean, I think that we fail to treat ourselves as professionals a lot of the times, but then we expect other people to. And so when they call you at 8 o'clock at night, you don't answer. I mean, the attorney doesn't answer, the chiropractor, the doctor doesn't answer, your CPA doesn't answer, your attorney doesn't. Why are you? Because once you do it once, that's the new norm. Buffini talked about years ago. He's like, I'm at my kid's soccer game, and I'm up and down the sideline on my phone, and he goes, I just had to change that. I just had to tell people, oh, Saturday at noon, you know what? I have an appointment at that time. Could we do it at 2 or could we do it at 10? And all of a sudden you take control of your schedule and you don't let other people. And if you lose a listing or a buyer here and there, so what? I mean, if they can't respect you, there's more out there. But it's easy to say when you have surplus of opportunities. So I get that. But at the end of the day, if you're not happy and healthy, the rest isn't going to be. And so it's interesting. I'm sure you've read the one thing, and in their research, they prove that balance, really doesn't exist, and it's really a counterbalance. And so I think that, for me, and my wife, with our communication is, hey, look, I'm going to be working really hard, and then we're going to stop, and then I'm going to go play really hard. And so it's not a, hey, I'm going to be home every day at 5 o'clock, and we're going to have this wonderful life, and we're going to do that every day and just continue down that. It's, hey, I'm going to go bust it for the next 4 or 5 days, and then we're taking off to Mexico for a week, and then we're going to come home, and then, we're going to, I'm going to bust it again for, maybe a week or two, whatever it is, and then we're going to go up to the cabin for a few days, or, we're going to take me and you and do a weekend getaway, or, whatever it is. And it's just constantly always having something to look forward to, and then sharing that vision. And so I think being out of balance means, sometimes you got to get up and go to work at 4 in the morning and pound through everything at the office so that, you can have the life that you want. And as long as you communicate that with your spouse, hey, I love you, and I'm off to go do this, and you're very efficient with your time, you can have a big life and a big business and it not be all business. And to me, I watched too many people do that, and I wasn't going to be a real estate statistic. Gosh, you sell this many homes a year, and you have all these plaques and all this great stuff, and and then at the end, it's like, but I don't even know my kids, and I just wasn't going to allow that to happen. And so, we do a lot together. I do a lot with my friends. I'm a big connector. I love people, and I think it gives you the energy to be a better real estate professional, because you have I hear we are saying balance in life, but you do have a balance through counterbalance by, you're either all the way over here because you're working a lot and crushing it, and then you're over here and you're shutting that stuff off, and you're going to lose a deal or two possibly. Or once you have a team, that's what team is for, and that's what I tell my team is, it's not just about how many transactions. If you want to make $100,000 this year, we can give you a life and make you the same money. Are you worried about a split? Are you worried about this? Is that what you're worried about, or is it having a life and still having the money you want? Because we can help provide that, because you don't have to be here all day every day. You could be anywhere you want to be, and we can help take care of the business for you. So I think putting family as a priority, putting, your personal growth as a priority, your business will just prosper because of those things, and people respect it. And I think that too many people think it has to be one or the other. And I can tell you, I mean, we've averaged a home closed a day going into our 6th year in a row. And I can tell you, it wasn't that long ago, I would have said, no way could that happen without me working 70 hours a week and not leaving on the weekends and doing that. And I will tell you, I mean, the month of October, I think I was in the office 6 days. And, it's just crazy once you find the right people. Gary always talks about finding the right who, and isn't that the truth? I mean, whether it's your spouse or your friends or your business partners, who can you go deep with and have a common goal and just go crush it. So, I think that people lose focus of that. They stay out of balance too long in one thing or the other. But I certainly think there's times to just put your head down, block everything else, and say, honey, I got to go. The next 3 days are going to be, go, go, go. But then, then here's what we're going to do, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and you just make it happen. Or, you do things, whether it's hikes together or, walks, whatever. There's so many things you can do to still be able to do both and keep it at a high energy level for your clients.
Yeah, no, absolutely, man. And that communication is just so key.
Mm-hmm.
So,
isn't it in any relationship? In any relationship, it's number one.
Yep, you got it, man. So, in addition to your restaurants or your real estate business, you started because you've had such success with geographical farming, and you actually designed your own designation to go out there and actually coach and teach and train agents your systems. And everybody listening to this call, we're going to have a link. We'll have a link and an access for you guys so you can check out this designation. So, can you tell us a little bit about the designation, what's included with that, what that entails, and really why you did it, and again, what it entails?
Yes, and I appreciate it. It's interesting because in 2010, Gary Keller put me on stage at Mega Camp, and there was just over 10,000 agents in the crowd, and he wanted me to share on geographic farming. And man, you get off stage and it's just crazy. The calls and all the KW market centers that want you to come train and teach out there, and because they're always looking for the top people in the industry to come teach agents. Not someone who's never done the business or someone who's been out of the business. People who are actually crushing it at that time. And so, when you've never had that before, it's kind of exciting and an honor, and it feels good on the ego a little bit and all that. The problem was, I was the only listing agent on the team at the time, and so I'm still trying to run a business, and all of a sudden I'm traveling and I'm teaching to 150, 200 people, and then you get all those Facebook messages and questions and emails. And so I was sharing with Gary. I'm like, Gary, I love it, but I feel like I'm running out of gas with people, and then not only that, but you know how it is, man. You share some energy with people and they don't give it back. They act like they're going to do something and they never go and do it. And so Gary kind of pushed me in a direction, and one morning I woke up and I went, a buddy of mine had started a IMSD designation, Ben Kenny, and so I flew up to Bellingham, spent 3 days with him, and kind of helped me with the concept, the model, and then we wrote all the content, and we called it CLME, which is Certified Local Market Expert. And the reason I did that is if you look at, again, going back to NAR stats, when people are trying to find a realtor, what NAR says, honesty, trust, communication are all the top 3 or 4. Then at 94% was they wanted someone who had local market knowledge, 77% wanted local area knowledge, and then 37% cared about our tech skills. And I found it interesting because so many realtors are worried about having the best, iPad presentation, website, and all the crap that when we really listened to what the consumer wanted, they wanted local market knowledge and local area knowledge. So, I have got all kinds of designations. I always trained and went to them all, CRS, AVR, all that stuff. And this one, when I sit down at the kitchen table, I just tell people, we get to that page in our presentation, and I'm a certified local market expert because I know, 94% that's what they want to hear. And so we created a designation. It's not NAR designation or anything. It's just something that, we created that we felt people could use to their advantage. And it goes through 8 core classes. I mean, you can listen to them at the gym or wherever. We go through, branding, running the realtor route. Well, used to call it that. I have to call it the farm route now because NAR. But we just go through the basics. A lot of stuff we've talked about today, but in depth. We go through our newsletter step by step from, the header all the way through why we do what we do. We post a lot of content on there of other newsletters, other marketing pieces, marketing ideas that we use in our farm. But what's happened is I've been able to connect with top farming agents throughout the country and get them to share content. So ultimately, we're using best practices in our niche. And, it's been really a fun thing because I've been able to meet a lot of people. I feel like it's a perpetual designation, unlike some of them like CDP and some of those that are markets at the moment. In any market, geographic farming is still of value because whether you're trying to do short sales at that time, guess who they'd call? The name they trusted. Road Back Home is our new program, which is how we get people on the road back home. They've been through a short sale, foreclosure, bankruptcy. Come to our class, listen to our webinar, and we'll get you on the road back home. Because what happens is when you're farming, ultimately what you're building is a trusted audience because they'll listen to what your message is because you've been there for so long that you've earned the right for them to at least listen to you. And I think that's such a cool piece that's happened for us. And so through that, my goal is when I leave this industry someday to leave it better than I found it. It's been very, very good to me, not only financially and with income properties and but just with relationships, man. I mean, me and you wouldn't be talking if we weren't both in this industry, and the relationship that, we've been able to form outside of this to be able to, pick each other up some days when we need it or share a little something that, you can then share. That was really the idea is, how can I share this content and not in a mean way, but not, individually on the phone with someone for an hour and then not have them take action. Until you've been in those shoes, man, it's really defeating because you want to see people be successful. And kind of like what you're doing with these calls, the idea, find the best of the best, and I'm honored to be, on this call, and then have them help share. And if it impacts and affects one person's life, hopefully they'll impact someone's life. And it's just a lot of fun. And so through CLME, it was just, it's not the greatest product out there. We're continuing to refine it and grow it. There's a little fee to it, and that helps support, what we can do to make it a great program. But we're going to continue to grow it. I appreciate you bringing it up because, it's real stuff. It's 12, 13 years of my life, and, the best of the best. I'm kind of saving you all the pitfalls and all the crap that doesn't work that we did wrong. How to print, the best ways to print, how to get your costs down, how to add, what content to add, community websites, Facebook pages, just all the fundamental stuff that we've researched, not only from other agents, so it's not all 100% us, plus, what we've done to build this consistency. And ultimately now we're creating expansion. We're in 3 other zips now. We're hoping to have, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, probably 6 farms by the end of the year. So we're going to be looking, kind of like you are, for top talent to join our team and run one of the farms and continue to create opportunities to best serve the public. So CLME.com. On your call today, we've got KK, which are my initials. 150 would be a little code that takes $150 off. So I think it's at $499, so it makes it like $350 for the year. There's all kinds. I've got all my forms, all my checklists, our listing presentation, all kinds of stuff we're sharing on there. And let's face it, we all do a lot of R&D, right? Rip off and duplicate each other's stuff. Yeah. So it's how the business kind of works. But it's admirable when people do it. And of course, I've seen stuff that other people do and go, man, I'm going to put my spin on it and make it work. So it's been a lot of fun. It's helped us connect with a lot of people. And but this way we can leave something at the end that they can go back to and revisit. And the success stories we're already having from people throughout the country who, we're only in our first year of CLME, and people who started with us originally and now have, taken 8, 10 listings this year, in some cases or more, never done it. It's pretty exciting to see that we've impacted and improved someone's business and hopefully ultimately their life.
Yeah, I mean it's absolute gold for $350. The $499 that would be even before the discount that you're offering our listeners here. It's stuff that you've, like you said, the last 12 years that you've. I mean, gosh, I'm sure that you've invested and reinvested millions and millions and millions to figure
Oh
this
man,
stuff out.
we've made the mistakes. Trust me.
Yeah, so and that's the that's what top producers do is we don't try to reinvent the wheel. We go out and find people that are doing it, and we just do exactly what they do. I know when I got started, and I still do this today. I go find somebody that's at that next level where I want to be. I'll jump on an airplane. I'll go be a fly on the wall in their office for a week, and I may not even understand everything. I just do it. It's
Right.
we got to pride ourselves on being great copycats. It's good artists copy, great artists steal, right? Don't recreate the wheel. All of you guys listening to this call, go get it. $350. It's gold. It'll change your life. I mean, it's what Kenny's everything that you're doing right now to have a million plus GCI business for $350, and the roadmap's laid
Yeah,
there. So
and it's the truth. And if somebody doesn't like it, you can we'll refund your money. I'm not after taking people's money. We just want to create success, and I think by farming it, it'll give people the opportunity. And I hope that we'll get to hear those success stories years and years down the road of hey, I hopped into that thing and I started doing it. Because I think one of the things you said earlier too is trying to copy what someone else is doing. I'll be honest with you, when you open up most people's businesses and they look one way on the outside, but you get on the backside and look, it's not like that. I mean, they put on a pretty good front, but they're not doing a lot of the stuff they say they're doing. And with this stuff, I mean, this is truly day-to-day operation stuff. It's not always sexy, but to be doing 2 million plus GCI is a lot of fun. Creates a lot of other opportunities for your family and for the people around you and to grow. But it doesn't happen overnight. But if I fast forward 3-4 years into doing it, man, it was we were hitting a million GCI or so, and I'm not the smartest guy in any room. It's just consistency, hard work. And one thing that you just said that I think is interesting is you may not understand it all. You just jump in and start doing it, and you kind of fail forward. And it's not how many times you get knocked down; it's how many times you get up, obviously. And I think that you just got to get out there and just start doing it, and quit waiting for the perfect day or the perfect weather or the perfect piece or the perfect whatever. You just have to take action.
yeah, absolutely, man. So we're just about ready to wrap up here. But before we go, man, any last words, thoughts that you want to give to the listeners? People on this call are going to be everybody from owners, brokers, team leaders to brand new agents just getting started. So any last words of advice? We're kind of wrapping up 2014, getting ready to set into 2015. This call is taking place. Any last words to just help these guys explode their careers and take it to the next level?
Man, like we talked about is the old C word, consistency. I think when you talk about investing into your business, that means you're investing into your personal growth. So, in 2015 or 2016, 2017, what are you attending? Are you going to any events, any workshops? And heck, there's a lot of free ones out there. What books are you reading? I mean, there's some fundamental stuff out there with, Napoleon Hill, OG, Mandino, of course. One of the first books that we have our team read is, Dale Carnegie's How to Win Friends and Influence People. I mean, the fundamentals, as Michael Jordan says, never change, just the attention to them. And the same fundamentals that, have left, success behind, you just got to follow some of that stuff, So what you're reading, I think, How to Win Friends and Influence. I think the one thing, business book that Gary Keller and those guys wrote is absolutely phenomenal. It kind of helps you narrow down 4DX, the 4 disciplines of execution. So many things tell you how to do stuff, where that book kind of shows you how to actually execute it. So, I can't say enough about personal growth because, like Lou Holt said, you're either growing or you're dying. It's like grass. You're either growing or you're dying. There's no in between, and you just can't maintain. And I think, just trying to get better every day, both personally and professionally, you'll attract more people to you, and you'll be able to help lead better. I just finished John Maxwell's book this morning, great leaders ask great questions, and I'm like, wow, isn't that the truth? I tend to talk too much and get going, and can we just ask better questions and ask more, and get more input from other people? And it's exciting. There's just opportunity is everywhere out there. It's just not shotgun and just laser focus in. Find your one thing, go deep, not wide. Just keep going deep, keep drilling down, do the little activities, and this industry is just not that difficult. And all you got to do is go to one of those free classes and listen to some of the questions asked. And if that doesn't make you feel like there's job security, I don't know what will. So, kind of makes you feel better usually about yourself. So a lot of fun, man. Sky's the limit. It's so diverse. There's so many tools and things out there that we just tend to not go deep with what we have. And I think, focusing on what you have versus, what you don't have. And I think too many people spend too much time, looking out the window instead of looking in the mirror. What can I do with what I have? How do I build this? And so I wish everyone truly the best, and I hope to co-broke or refer to each other. If you got people buying, selling out of state, that we're just, keeping it tight, turning them over to good people, and getting a better look on our industry instead of kind of where we typically rank with, used cars and attorneys. So.
Yeah, absolutely, Kenny. Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, and you guys listening to the show. Like I always talk about, knowledge without implementation is really just delusion, right? I mean, you've been delivered so many just gold nuggets, amazing information here. Make sure you guys are taking action. We talked a lot about in this call. Kenny talked a lot about this, that it's, you got to get that hustle on. You can't just take this information and do nothing with it. So you just heard today, it's a 90-minute interview from one of the, badass dudes that exists on this planet. So take what he's saying to heart. Hope he took a lot of great notes. Get out there, implement, and keep dominating. Go crush it. Thank you for listening. Do not forget to follow me on Facebook, Joshua Smith GSD, on Twitter, @Joshua Smith GSD, Instagram, Joshua Smith GSD. Make sure to also subscribe to my YouTube channel. Type in Joshua Smith, and I'm the good-looking cat at the top. If you haven't already, go to www.joshuasmithgsd.com and subscribe to our email list. You'll get these interviews sent to you via email, along with my blog, videos, updates, and all that other fun shit. As always, make sure you're taking action. Take all this golden information that you're getting delivered here and make sure you're applying it. Information without implementation is the start of delusion. So implement. Take massive levels of action. Get your hustle on. Get into GSD mode and go dominate. Peace out, guys, and see you next time.